Boy or girl? Were these predictions right? Hi, sisters. Thank you so much for watching my Motherhood Survival Guide podcast, where I talk about everything motherhood related and parenting. Today, I want to talk about gender prediction myths that I tried with all three of my kids. So, I have two boys and one girl, and I tried these gender prediction myths and many others with all three of my pregnancies. And these were the ones that actually worked. Or I don't know if it works, it could just be luck, but they were correct though. They were right. I don't know how, but they were right with all three babies. Okay. So I'm very excited to share that with you. But first, like, why would someone want to know what gender their baby is? Because I know there's some people that say they want it to be a surprise up to birth, and that's fine too. I actually did that with my second baby. We actually didn't want to know the gender until birth because he was a surprise baby. And I didn't know I was pregnant until I was almost like 5.5 months. So that's why we wanted to wait. But with my first and second, we did do an ultrasound and find out. But before that, right? Because you can't just do an ultrasound that early. It has to be like, what, 20 weeks pregnant to find out gender. So for us, I was so anxious. I really wanted to know. So I started looking for gender prediction myths that I could try just for fun. But anyway, going right into it. So the first one I tried was the Chinese gender calendar. I think that's what it's called. Yes, but that one. So what they need from you for that one is they just ask for mother's age of conception. So how old you were when you conceived, and then the month of conception. So that's pretty much what they ask for, and then they'll predict if it's a boy or a girl. And for me, you guys, I tried it with my first baby. I was about maybe like 2.5 months when I tried it, and it was correct. It told me boy right away. And then I tried it again. I found a different version of the Chinese gender calendar on Google, and I tried like different versions of them, and they were always right. They kept saying it's a boy, right? And then he is a boy, right? So that one definitely worked with my first. And then with our second, even though I didn't know I was pregnant, so I was well in my second trimester. So I did the Chinese calendar for him too. And yes, they said it's a boy, and they were right. It was a boy, even though we didn't end up doing the ultrasound because we decided we're going to just wait till he's born and find out. And yes, it was very exciting, but that we waited, it was a surprise. But yes, it was a boy, and the Chinese calendar was correct. And then the next one, oh, with our daughter, right? I just had her about 9 months ago. With her as well, before we did our ultrasound, I did try the Chinese calendar. And yes, it was correct. It said girl right away. And I tried different version of the calendar. Again, it said girl, and she is a girl. So yes, that one definitely worked. I don't know how they're predicting this, but it was right so far. I don't know anyone else who tried it, so I don't know if they've ever been wrong. But the fact that they were right about three of my babies, and I mean, I only have three, but that, I don't know. I thought that was very interesting. Next is, so this one is actually more of like an African myth. So as we know, like, in most African countries, or like in African countries where people live in villages where there's no technology, um, a lot of times like they find other ways to kind of guess what the baby's gender might be. And one way was my mom was telling me, I don't know if all African cultures do this, but my mom said in our culture, should something they believe kind of helps you predict is the linea negra. So I think I'm saying that right, linea negra. So it just means the black line, I think. So when you're pregnant, for those of you who may not know, when you're pregnant, you may notice like there you'll have like, I mean, not, I don't know if everyone gets this, but you may notice there's like a black line that goes up like on your belly, that goes up from your pelvic bone all the way up. So I had that with all three of my babies, and my mom says she's had that too. Everyone I've known had that. So I don't know anyone who's never had it at all. But anyway, it's just a dark shade line that goes up from the pelvic bone. So anyway, the theory is that, according to my mom, the myth is that if the line goes up, stops at the belly button, then it's a girl, or it's most likely a girl. And if the line, the linea negra, goes past your belly button up to your chest bone, like right in the center of your chest, it's a boy. So that's the myth. And with my son, my first baby, I had the line like right away within like by 7 weeks pregnant, I had the line. The line showed up. And yes, it went all the way up to the center of my chest, okay, by the end of pregnancy. And he was a boy. It was right. And with our second baby, so the line does go away after you give birth, but it goes away. It takes a while. Like I still have it. My baby's 9 months, right? But sometimes it goes away a little faster. Sometimes it takes a while, but you'll still kind of see a little bit of it after pregnancy. So with my second baby, who I was pregnant like very quickly. So it was he was about they're about 11 months apart. So I got the line again, and again it went all the way up to my chest, and he was a boy. So maybe there's something to that. And then with our daughter, I had the line again. It started around second month, but it stopped at my belly button, and I kept track of it through pregnancy, and I'm telling y'all, it did not go past my belly button the whole pregnancy. And she is a girl. So that's 3 pregnancies, 2 boys and a girl. And the first two, my 2 boys, the line went up to my chest. My daughter, it stopped at my belly button. So my mom said this is kind of how she sort of predicted what she might have, even though only God knows for sure. She doesn't remember like paying attention to it after like the second, third kids, but she said usually this kind of works. But again, it's just a myth. But for me, it seemed to be working. The next myth is that you have heartburn or acid reflux with one gender and not with the other. So for me, with my boys, I did have acid reflux and heartburn, and it was just horrible. I had a horrible acid reflux with them throughout the whole pregnancy. But with my daughter, I did not have any heartburn or acid reflux, y'all. So maybe there is something to that. I don't know. But it worked for me, and I might keep using it in the future. Um, and then so that one was quick and simple. So this next one, I kind of learned a little bit about it like after I had my second baby. It's called the ovulation gender theory. And there's not much scientific proof to back it up, honestly, but it was just something interesting. I saw someone mention it on a video, and I thought it was interesting. I thought, hey, let me look into it, right? But so that one, it implies that depending on which side of your ovary, which ovary, like right ovary or left ovary, release the egg, that can sort of influence the gender of the baby. But anyway, feel free to look it up if you want to. It's called ovulation gender theory, and it implies that if the egg is released from the right ovary, it's most likely a boy, and if it's released from the left ovary, it's most likely a girl. So for me, honestly, when I had with my first baby, they did tell me which side I ovulated on, and they told me it was my right ovary. And he was a boy, so I don't know if that means anything. And with my daughter, they did tell me that I ovulated on the left side, and she was a girl. So with this theory, like as far as like being able to tell which side you ovulated on, I think doctors, like from my understanding, like my doctor said, just told me because it was so early on when I went to my appointment. I went with my first baby. I went to my first appointment at like 7, 8 weeks, and it was so early on that they can tell which side I ovulated on. And with my daughter, I thought I was 9 weeks along, but I was actually 7. So when I went to my appointment, thinking I was 9 weeks along, they checked me, and then they told me that I ovulated from my left ovary, and that I was actually 7 weeks along. And the reason I thought I was 9 weeks along is because I was nauseous like so early on, y'all. I was nauseous at 3 weeks. Okay, before I missed my cycle, I was so nauseous. It was crazy. So I thought, oh, maybe I was already pregnant and that I'm really 9 weeks, but I wasn't. But anyway, yes, for that one, I really don't know if there's any truth to it or anything behind it, but I've kind of heard about it, and so far it seems like it makes sense, but I don't know. But with my second baby, they didn't, I couldn't find out which side I ovulated on because, like I said, I didn't know I was pregnant, so I was well in my second trimester. Last but not least, the next gender prediction myth I tried was the morning sickness one. So the theory goes that if you are nauseous and you're throwing up, it's most likely a girl. If you're not as nauseous and you're not throwing up, it's most likely a boy. So for me, with both my boys, I did have morning sickness, but I had the kind where you feel sick, like certain triggers make you feel sick, but you're not throwing up or anything, and you can still manage throughout the day. But with my daughter, y'all, I was throwing up. I thought I had a stomach flu because I was just sick the whole pregnancy. I was constantly throwing up like 2 to 3, 4 times a day. It was just awful. And I couldn't keep food down. And so, if the theory is correct, then yes, it worked for me because my two boys, I never once threw up. With my daughter, I could barely function because every movement, I just thought I was going to throw up. Everything I looked at, I just wanted to throw up, and I actually did throw up a lot. Sorry, TMI, but yes, that was the last one that really worked out for me. But anyway, so those are the things that I tried to predict the gender. And, at the end of the day, only God knows for sure. And of course, if you do an ultrasound too, you can know. But, so anyway, those are the things that I tried that I found seem to be correct with all three of my babies. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. um, and, and I'm sure there's many other ones that you can try too, but these are the ones that really stood out to me because they seem to be correct. But at the end of the day, you can also just get an ultrasound and they can, but in like what but at the end of the day, you can always just get an ultrasound at like 20 weeks and they can tell you if you really wanted to know. And also, God knows, right? And boy or girl, it's always a blessing. So it's not that much of it, doesn't really make a difference, but it is exciting to know just so you can kind of plan in your head. But yeah, that's what I tried that really worked for me. So anyway, thank you so much for watching my video and I hope you enjoyed it. And go ahead and hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed it so you can see more videos that come up. Thank you. Bye.